Okay, today let's start with a very simple concept, but a very complicated industry with what is marketing. So, at its core, marketing literally means bringing goods to the market. Bringing goods to the market. So, it's about exchange and connecting a producer and consumer through value transfer. So, you have somebody here, they're like, hey, made this cool sword. Look how cool this sword is. And this guy is a knight who's standing here in his armor. That's armor, in case you haven't seen it before. That is a knight standing. I can't believe I have to label this. It's such a bad drawing. As a knight that is looking for a sword. So marketing is letting the knight know. He's thinking, where's my sword? And then we say, it's over there. And he says, oh, great. I'm happy. Thank you. That's marketing. It is a very simple concept. I think this fundamentally should be what marketers think about. In the current era, we talk so much about statistics, data, channels. It's too complicated. And it's way, way, way too much to help people even understand what they're trying to do. So today, we're going to keep it really simple. We're going to make it very straightforward. So you have that simple concept of exchange. That's marketing. So what do we want to do with that concept? Well, let's start to pluralize it. Let's start to think about that in the context of many other vendors and many other options. So you have, all these vendors who sell circles. These vendors sell squares, and this vendor sells triangles. So this is one person who is looking for a circle, one person who's looking for a square, and one person who's looking for a triangle. The person who's looking for a circle has 6 options. The person who's looking for a square has 3 options, and the person who's looking for a triangle has 1 option. However, this is the part that I guarantee you've probably never been told about before. Think about this person's point of view. If everyone here on this side is doing marketing, 10% of the information this person sees is relevant, 30% of the information this person sees is relevant, and 60% of the information this person sees is relevant. So what does that tell you? It tells you that this person who sells the triangle, 90% of the information that they see around them in the world is going to be about squares and circles. 90% of their lives and their perspective is going to be about squares and circles. And only 10%, which is probably the content they create, only them, that 10% solves 10% of people's problems. If this was the US, that would be 30 million people, maybe 40 million now. That's the point with marketing, is that it's not about what people are saying in the market. It's about getting the right product to the right buyer and letting them know where it is. Swords may not be a popular product. They may have been in olden times, in different times, but today I don't think you'd see a lot of swords at the market, but you would see probably a lot of fruits and vegetables. So the fruits and vegetables would be everywhere. If the knight walked into this market right here, walked in the side door, he would see all of these fruits and vegetables, and he might turn around before he got to the sword shop at the end of the road. This is really, really important. So I'm staying on it for probably longer than I would. But you have to understand that there is never a situation in which your message does not have an audience. Never. Because if you exist with the message, there's somebody there to hear it. So a lot of the issues in marketing are not that your message is the wrong message. What I'm showing you here is that any message can resonate because there's a buyer for the message. The issue is that your manner of putting your message out there sucks. So in the knight example, the knight walks in and the shortstop is at the end. So he has no idea that it's there. If there was a second entrance and the knight walked in here, or there was a knight's only entrance over here, it would be a great location. That would be great marketing. Does that make sense? Because the value of marketing is determined by how easy it is for the buyer to find their product. There. That's marketing. So in this context of a bunch of store vendors in a row, marketing would be the location of your stall. It would be the signage. That would probably be it. In the current world, however, it's a little bit more complex because we work in a marketplace of ideas. So the way that you should consider a marketplace of ideas, is you should consider the journey of somebody who enters the market. And let's assume that there are many stalls and many vendors. It doesn't even look like stalls. Many stalls and rows of vendors. And so on and so forth, right? So when you have a marketplace of ideas, let's say there are a few ways in to the marketplace. Somebody who comes into here, if they walk in and they're looking for your triangles, they will immediately look around and say, there's no triangle in this marketplace, and they'll leave. Well, turns out there's 2 triangle vendors in this marketplace, so that's not right. So how do we tell this person that there are triangle vendors, but they're at the back of the marketplace? Well, in the real world, we would put up a little sign, and it would look like this, and it would say, hey, there's triangles, and they're that way. We would put the sign right at the entrance, and then this person would say, oh, okay. And then here, they would be like, huh, I got to the end, I didn't see the triangles. So we'd put another sign right here. Say the triangles are this way, here. They'd be like, oh great, I have 2 different triangle options. I'm so happy I got to choose between 2 types of swords today, and it's 2025, so I didn't think I'd find 2 sword vendors at the fruit market. But that's how this reality of ideas goes. So in the marketplace of ideas, the signs are how the person got here, right? Anyone who's ever been to a market knows that there's 2 ways to do it. If it's shared space, a shared place, right? The market will typically charge you to put up signage. If there's some sort of newspaper, if there's some sort of, other vehicle of information, they will charge you to tell people where the triangle shops are in the market. So that is paid advertising. If you were to send flyers out to people and say, hey, triangles in the back of the market in advance, that would be organic. That would be a very different approach of advertising because you'd be reaching them before they even got to the marketplace, and you would be telling them the information that they need to know. So now we're going to enter a more nuanced part of this, which is now the customer's journey. So let's talk through the journey, and let's talk through how marketing plays a critical role at each juncture. And through this map, we're going to see where and how to implement AI into the concept of marketing. So first we start with the awareness. So that is the day that this guy said, hey, where's my sword? I need a sword because I'm a knight. We'll give him his armor back. God, that's bad. And then they're like, where's the sword? I need to figure that out. So we give them a flyer. The flyer says, hey, there's triangles at the market. Great. So then they go to the market. Then they follow the signage in the market, and then they get to their spot. And when they get to the shops, they're like, okay, cool, there's 2 triangle vendors. Which one do I want? Where do I want to get my sword? They make their decision, boom. They've got a nice new sword. This guy's so happy. He's gonna be such a great knight. Now he goes in, he starts fighting with the sword. And then maybe the sword breaks. If he liked the sword, he's gonna go back to the first triangle vendor and buy it. Or if he didn't like it, he's gonna go to the other triangle vendor to try their sword. That happens next. And then based on which of these works, this person is now going to be a knight that crushes it, has their sword they use, builds a reputation through usage. Your customers build reputation through usage. Very important. Through usage of your product or service. And then that turns into advocacy if the repurchase goes to you, meaning that the usage should be successful, or at the very least, it should be better than the alternative in the market, so that when the person chooses the final thing that they're with, they become an advocate for your brand. Then this person, this is a share icon here, starts handing out flyers to everybody else in the marketplace before they get there. They start telling them, hey, go to the back, go to the corner. There's 2 triangle vendors, but you want to go to the one on the left. You want to go to the one with the red sign. That is marketing. All of marketing should be oriented toward maximizing advocacy. Advocacy is the only part of the marketing experience that should be prioritized. We look at data, we look at cost of acquisition, we look at all of these things. But the only thing that will add sustainable value to your business is advocacy. So we talk about, okay, we've now seen this kind of workflow. How do we integrate AI into this journey and workflow in a meaningful way? Well, first we're going to talk about the awareness and evaluation piece. A lot of this is going to be your advertising portion. So this is going to be SEO, this is going to be PPC, this is going to be content. And all of these are what you would call like workflow-based strategies. And what is a workflow-based strategy? A workflow-based strategy goes one step to the next, and that is how you do it. SEO, there's a process. PPC, there's a process. Content generation, there's a process. That is a workflow-based strategy. Anything that is a workflow-based strategy is AI. And that doesn't mean you use it for every part of the workflow. We talked about this in the sales video. You use it for the parts of the workflow that are non-human steps. So if there's any sort of like, part of the content you're writing that needs to be, very specially done. If there's a part of the PPC where it's like, what keywords do we want to go to? Which types of audiences do we want to target? Those are human decisions and human choices. AI shouldn't make those choices for you, but AI can handle the research, the keyword research, all the inner details of that process. So that's AI. When you use the YG3 platform, every single one of the modules is a workflow-based strategy turned into a module. We've done that with 10 different workflows. So that's something to check out. Use the discount or whatever we have set up to check that out, because it's highly worth looking at the workflow simplification, because it'll give you context. So then you have your purchase, and your marketing job here up front is done. Post-purchase is now where a lot of the magic happens. Post-purchase into the repurchase window, this is something, and I'm going to change the color here. This is something that is a very important part of the process that people miss in marketing, and this is like the engagement and excitement. So now, when the person came in to meet with you, they had a problem that they needed to solve. You've solved their problem after the purchase. So everything after that should be just joy. It should be satisfaction, it should be happiness, it should be all of that. The question becomes, how do you use AI to automate something that is highly reliable and highly based on human connection? We talked about how the main thing that we want to generate is advocacy through the strategy. And to create advocacy, we have to create a deep human connection. That is how all of life works. Everything is built on a human connection. So how can we connect deeply with people if we're using AI to automate the way in which we communicate with them? Well, the answer is we can't use AI to automate the way in which we communicate with them, but we can use AI in a workflow automation, workflow-based strategy for how we do engagement and excitement. So for example, you have a purchase, you could go to a follow-up, you could go to AI Gen insights on the user, which then lead to product directs. You could create, interactives, value creators, things that the user of your tool can use to get further engaged with it and to be able to understand their relationship with it. One of the important things I like to talk about with people is what I would call it's a terrible line, what I would call the mirror principle. So let's say you have a mirror right here and a person stands in front of it. Every single interaction that a person has with a digital or news or social media or really any interaction we have is they believe that they're reacting to whatever they see on this side, but what they're reacting to is actually a reaction to how they feel inside as a result of what they see here. So when people are interfacing with devices you create, content you create, any of that, their primary experience that they're having is an internal experience that happens within them. This is like a really critical thing to remember. It all happens inside of that person. So when you create resources and things out here, your job is not to change this person's mind at all. All you have to do is give them the resources they are absolutely looking for so they can create a mirror that shows them the elements of themselves that they're interested in exploring. So let's use the knight. A knight, when they come into the market, they're looking for a sword. Why are they looking for a sword? Because they are somebody who does battle. Why do they do battle? Maybe they are exploring themes of bravery, courage, of duty, of obligation, of protection, of love for, fellow citizens, of sacrifice. Those are internal themes. Those all happen inside of our knight when they are fighting battle. The sword is the mirror that enables them to experience this. And then we can create, for example, other quizzes that come after the purchase that say, hey, how was your battle? We could create a chatbot with AI that says, hey, I'd like to talk to you about, your swordsmanship. Talk to me about your challenges and I'll give you insights from the best swordsman in the world that ever lived. That would be a mirror, because that mirror enables the knight to look within themselves and to grow in the context of the product they just purchased from you. That's marketing, because that tool, it enhances what's happening here, which is actually a cycle. It's an evolutionary cycle. As this cycle proceeds, the faster and faster it proceeds, the faster and faster this person becomes an advocate for you, spreading word externally. What I'm talking about here in marketing, I guarantee you've probably never heard it put this way or phrased this way before, but we're talking about marketing in energetics, and these principles are based further on atomic and quantum principles than they are on the logic of MBAs and business professionals who don't ever actually practice this craft. It's the people who are actually creating content and who are in the field and who are actually communicating and speaking with and connecting with their audience that ever really realize the truth of marketing, which is that marketing's entire goal is to make advocates. The more advocates you have, the larger your movement grows, and the more positive impact or whatever you're chasing you get to make. But at the end of the day, if you don't have advocates, then nobody's going to come find you in the market. And I think that is a great closing point for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to message us. You can always reach us at team@yg3.ai, and anything you want, just email us there. Thank you much. We appreciate you for watching.